Yeah, why don't they make tub desks?
Probably because you don't want your company laptop hovering over some water.
I mean, maybe you don't, but... Hello, and welcome to Way Too Broad, a place for friends to talk about things that make them sound crazy. I'm Hannah, and these are my co-hosts, Erin and Ben.
Hey.
Hi, Erin.
Make us sound crazy? Like bathtub workbenches.
That's not crazy. That's the best idea I've ever had. Hi, Ben.
Hi. Hi, Hannah and Erin.
Hey, Ben.
Erin forgot to say hi to me. Just saying.
Oh, Ben, I'm so sorry I always do that to you.
Ben, you're so fucking sensitive.
Out of sight, out of mind, Ben. That's all I have to say.
Everybody says hi to everybody. It's just understood, okay?
Plus, I say hi to you, like, every time I see you in the chat. I'm like, hey, Ben.
You're right, my bad.
Wait, guys. Did you know there's only one rule on Way Too Broad?
What's that rule, Hannah?
That rule is you have to be excited about the thing that you're talking about.
Wait, everyone shut up! Everyone shut up! I'm super excited about my thing this week.
I thought the rule was that I couldn't wear pants while I was recording.
I have to tell you that I almost didn't wear pants either. I was inspired by you last week.
I was inspired by me last week, too.
But then I was thinking about the number of times when we've been recording that I've had to get up and deal with my cats, and I was like, I better wear pants.
Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome.
Prish.
Do you guys, like, most of the time you're in your own home, are you not wearing pants? Because that's how it is for me.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
It's just so much more comfortable than any other state of pants.
Most comfortable pants state? No pants state. Nils.
What are the other pants states, Ben?
There's shorts state, jeans state, sweatpants, no underwear or pants, naked state.
Naked state.
That one you'd think would be comfortable, but no.
No.
Not
Too
a
many
fan.
towels down.
Yeah.
There's a subset of jean state, don't forget, which is first day jean state, and then, like, the rest of the jean state.
That's
like,
true.
first day jean state, your first day jeans are so tight.
Yeah.
And then the rest of the week are, like...
falling off.
Yeah, delicious.
No,
Same
I
thing.
think there's actually 3 states of jeans. There's first day jean state, which is too tight. Then there's, like, the perfect second stage of jeans, where they're perfect and awesome, like my jeans right now. And then there's, like, haven't washed them in at least a week jean state, where you're still wearing them every day, and they are falling off your butt.
I would go to any lengths to avoid washing my jeans.
Me too.
To, like, avoid... The first day is so bad that I'm like, it's not worth it. And they're jeans, like... They're fine.
I think you're actually not supposed to wash jeans that much. At least not like machine wash.
I think that's just like a rumor that people have spread because they don't want to do it.
I think
and
I
support
spread that
it.
rumor.
It's a brilliant tactic. I love it.
You're not supposed to wash them. And you're not supposed to bathe but like twice a week, right? That's what I heard. My doctor told me that.
There was a study.
Erin, you had a new segment that you were being real cagey about before we
I
started
didn't mean
recording.
to be cagey about it. I totally was. I acknowledge that. Oh, I just thought it would be fun. We keep doing this offline, but I thought it would be fun online to talk about. I guess we are online when we talk about this, but I'm talking about.
Yeah, I was confused.
When I say online, I mean on ear snack. We keep talking about this off snack, but I thought we would talk about this on snack.
Off snack is awesome. I love it.
That's great.
Which is just like if we've done each other's homework. It's not like a guilt thing. Like we don't have to like confess. But if anybody wants to mention any of the other people's homework that they've done, I thought we should leave some room for that.
That's a good
idea.
Thanks. I could start.
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, Molly and I, Ben, have been watching Big Mouth. Mm-hmm. And loving it.
Yeah, it's super good, right?
It's super good. We just love it. You know, I confess, I normally don't like cartoons. Mm-hmm. Hardly ever. Like I usually just don't like cartoons outright, with very few exceptions. But we're loving it. We're loving it. Excuse me.
I think a lot of people can get turned off by how like crass it is too. Mm-hmm. I feel like that could turn some people off, but it's like, I don't know. It's not like, you know how Family Guy, like I feel like Family Guy tends to use the only funny part is how disgusting it is sometimes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Whereas like in Big Mouth, it's just part of the comedic tools, you know?
And it's disgusting. Like Family Guy is like disgusting and like, I don't know. In like, Big Mouth is a little crass, but in a like equal opportunity way. It's like also sweet and tender, and you know, not specifically thinking that men are the audience, right?
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. A lot of its crassness comes from the fact that puberty is gross. Mm-hmm. Just like as a part of life.
Right, and it feels like it tracks with. So I also watched all of it. This week.
I haven't finished it before you. I said we're watching it.
No, I'm not. No, I promise no spoilers. But
spoilers, they all get their periods.
Even the guys. But like I was weirdly struck. So like there are some moments, and this is not a spoiler, where like the puberty monster, the hormone monster, is saying like really like nasty, lewd, sexual things basically in the ear of especially the boys. Like with the girls, it's more like anger and like emotional stuff, and but with the boys, it's like, you know, now you're imagining this, like really gross stuff that I can't even remember to repeat actually, but I don't know that I would. But like it was weirdly reminding me of this episode of This American Life where this trans man was talking about when he started taking testosterone, how he was starting to have these like, all of a sudden he'd see a pretty woman on the street and he would like suddenly have like vivid like physical like imagine like things happen in his mind of like sexual stuff with her, which had never happened when he was like wasn't taking testosterone.
Yeah.
And so it like all like rang very true to me. As like this is them like telling what it's actually like to be an extremely pubescent male.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
It wasn't like just for shock value.
I heard that episode too, and I resonated with it because he was talking about before he started taking testosterone, he would see a pretty woman and think like, I want to like get to know her. Yeah. Which is like what I kind of like go through, right? Like, yeah. And so I also thought of that. That's funny.
That is funny.
Damn, look at that lady. I want to get to know her. I want to know her fears. I want to know her career goals. Hey, girl. Yeah. Not saying that men don't do that, too. I don't know.
I always feel like the whole, like, men fantasizing about sexual stuff is like blown out of proportion a lot. Like people tend to think it happens a lot more than it does. But to tell you the truth, I don't really remember my like really pubescent years that much. So like maybe I don't like remember my mindset in like middle school and high school. So maybe it was happening a lot then, but I can say now it doesn't really. And to be honest, that was something I was kind of worried about with Big Mouth was that whole topic, because it's always kind of bothered me because it ends up turning into an excuse for like men like being justified to rape women in our culture. And so I was worried that they would like get too close to that line of like men can't control themselves, but they never did, because like you said, the hormone monster would be like, here's all this disgusting shit, and then like the character would be like, no, that's awful. Like,
yeah, right, exactly.
Like the rational side of him would still control himself a lot of the times, which is like, I think they did a really good job of that.
Which is a good point, because we all have those thoughts that are like, that's terrible. Like,
yeah,
you think it,
exactly.
But then you're like,
Yeah.
Yeah,
like,
right. There's still
I'm not gonna do that. Don't,
yeah.
Super ego in there.
Like, don't think about that. Gross.
Yeah.
How dare you?
Erin, what was... I can't remember what yours was last week.
The Scary Podcast.
Oh, I absolutely listened to all of those.
What did you think?
I loved them.
You had some interesting thoughts about them.
About the... Oh, yeah, okay. So I learned maybe more about Erin from listening to them than about ghosts. Okay, every person, I really enjoyed all of them, and and like I said last time, like, I love to leave space for those possibilities in my mind. Like, I'm not like Ben in that way.
Wow,
but
all right.
In that way.
Drag me.
But every single person on Spooked who told a story, like, besides listeners who called in with them, because they had some of those too, was selling a book that was about the thing that happened to them.
Did you pay? This week was not selling a book. One of the scariest ones this week. No book.
Yeah, the second one.
The Black Rose. Did you listen to The Black Rose this week?
Yeah, I think so.
That was the first one about her, like, great aunt. And there was no book. There was no book.
There was a book, Erin.
Scary.
There was a book.
Oh, there wasn't a book for that one.
There was.
There was?
Yeah, but it wasn't about her aunt. It was about, like, growing up in Ireland.
Oh.
So that's fine. I
Maybe you're right.
I don't
Maybe
know.
storytellers are the people more likely to be telling stories, as all.
I mean, that's all true. And I'm not saying that none of those things are all those things are definitely false at all. But it was interesting. And then also I read the Dear David thing, and I set Twitter to notify me if, what's his face?
Adam Ellis.
Yeah. If he ever tweets again, because since he's come back from Japan and took that one picture with his cat, like, he has not tweeted anything.
Mm-hmm. I read all of those as well, by the way.
Yeah. What did you think, Ben?
I mean, there was, like, some creepy stuff in there, but I don't know. It didn't really hit me as hard as, like I could sleep fine. I read it, like, one night, and then I could sleep fine because I don't know. It didn't really scare me that much.
There's this one
I didn't really
part,
buy it.
Sorry, my throat. There's this one part where he's... What?
Were you apologizing to your throat? Sorry, my throat. Sorry. I didn't mean to derail you.
I'm so sorry, my throat. Where he gets the Polaroid camera, and then he's, like, claiming that he was taking, like, completely black pictures in his hallway. Mm-hmm. Erin is making a really scared face right now, but I found that to be the least believable part.
Yeah, because it was, like, 2 videos, right? Like,
why would he be lying to us?
To tell us story.
All the attention that we're giving him. Because why would we be talking about Adam Ellis if he wasn't lying to us right now?
Also, like, I will say, while I didn't buy it as something that was necessarily true, it was still really fun to read, and it's still, like, a really interesting story. Mm-hmm. So, like, and that could be his goal in making it.
Yeah,
if he is not
I also
telling
think
the truth.
it's a really interesting new storytelling medium, and I like the fact that people are, like, playing with it in this way. I think it's really cool. So, like, I'm not mad either way, really.
Do you guys follow Jomny Sun on Twitter? Mm-hmm. Have you heard of him? Mm-mm. He's actually a really interesting person. The actual guy, whose name I think is actually Johnny Sun, is, like, a PhD student at like MIT or Harvard or something, and, like, studying architecture. But on the side, he has this, like, Twitter account, which is, like, a creative writing project, basically, where he kind of plays an alien who's been sent to investigate Earth. And it's, like, just, like, a really cute, positive Twitter account, and he makes a bunch of little typos all the time, and he wrote a book called Everyone's an Alien and You're an Alien Too. that's super cute, and it's like he drew all the like a bunch of cartoons with the alien exploring Earth, and it's a lot of it is some of them are like actually his tweets put into like cartoon form, and then some of them are new content. But it's a really, really adorable book, and I recommend everyone get it. That's not my obsession this week, but it is super good.
Cool.
You have it?
Yeah, I got it this summer.
Cool.
So you think that I'm just a trusting person because I assume that these people are telling the truth?
Yes.
Yes, I think it's really interesting though, because when I raised that with you on our Slack earlier this week, you said, yes, I am a trusting person. You said, I expect to be told if I'm being lied to, or something like that.
Which ruins the point of lying.
I do. Well, I just I expect to know it's satire, right?
Oh,
like
okay.
I expect to have some like for satirical articles and stuff. You usually get some sort of just disclaimer, and I guess it's also coming from the medium of Snap Judgment, where the stories, I guess I've never been explicitly told that they're true. Mm-hmm. I guess I assume that they are true because that's what it usually is.
Yeah.
Also, it's hard with like scary stories and stuff because part of what makes it at all actually spooky is the idea that it could be real and it could be actually happening.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
So it's harder to be that upfront about it.
Yeah, that's true.
All right. Terminology in. You ready?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Okay.
Wait, let me brace myself. I'm not wearing pants.
I haven't done the one about pooping yet, right?
Nope.
I don't think so.
All right.
Did you hear that one about pooping?
So this one time, I asked. Oh no! Ian told me he was gonna go. He needs to use the bathroom because he was gonna poop, and he also was gonna take a shower. And I said, "Oh, well, which one are you gonna do first?" And he said, "I'm gonna do the dirty one first." So now we call pooping doing the dirty one.
Oh, that's awesome.
I like that. Every day is a winding road.
Yeah. So I'm first this week.
Well, then go.
Go get him, Captain.
I'm just trying to. Okay, there we go.
Oh, no. I
don't know why that.
We have our family inside joke, or is that coming last?
Oh, you're right. No, let's do that now.
Okay. Okay. So this week, I'm telling the tale again. So if you'll recall, back in episode 1, I had a period of time where I was obsessed with that I didn't have any hobbies. So I enrolled in this sewing class, and it was like a beginner sewing class to learn how to use a sewing machine, and we made a little pillow. And I chose all the fabrics myself and sewed it together, just a simple strips of fabric pillow. And then I put the pillow upstairs on one of my chairs and displayed it proudly, and was so proud of it. Every time somebody would come over, I'd be like, "Look at my pillow." And so Hannah came to visit, and we were upstairs, and I pointed at that pillow, and I was like, "Look at this pillow! I made that!" And she looks at it and she goes, "I made that!" I was like, "No, I made that!" It is the funniest thing that has ever happened to me. I laugh so much every time I think about it. And all the time, I'm like, "I made that!"
Hannah, what was going through your head when you said that?
I'll tell you, Ben. What an excellent segue, because Erin told me that she would let me defend myself. Ben will probably remember, maybe, that when we were young, we used to spend the afternoons after school at my grandmother's house. My grandmother, who's not related to Erin, in Florida, and she had a whole room that was devoted to sewing and quilting and stuff, and she had a huge pile of scraps, of fabric scraps, and she had several extra sewing machines. So I would go into her sewing room and make, like, purses and pillows on a regular basis, some of which looked remarkably like the one that Erin made. And I may have been, like, not totally focusing on what she was saying when she told me that she made the pillow, but I just pointed at her and heard her say something. I saw her pointing at it and heard her say something about making it, and I assumed she was telling me that I had made that. And she said,
I made that.
So that's what happened.
Wow, I had assumed that it was just like a misspeak, and you meant to say like you made that proudly.
No, I thought I made
that.
I thought I
You
made
really
it.
thought that you made it.
She was so excited that I had pointed out that she had made it.
Oh my god, that's amazing.
It's a good pillow, Erin.
Thanks.
Great job.
You made it.
Thank you.
Also, it's
I've
like
learned-
implicit in this whole thing is that the thing that Hannah made when she was like 10 is as good as what you made now.
I was thinking that, but I wasn't going to say it.
I never thought of that.
Well, no, I had a really good teacher, so I was in the advanced
Oh,
pillow.
wow.
Oh.
Way to turn that into praising grandma to get out of this.
Yeah, she was good at sewing. That's
true.
undeniable.
That's very
That's
true.
like such a grandma thing. Like, our shared grandma was not a seamstress, but like my other grandma was like had a sewing room and like sewed all the time and like made me pants for Christmas and stuff like that.
Our grandma
Sorry,
was really
I
big
like-
into quilts.
Yeah, huge into quilts. She was like a quiltaholic.
Hannah, were you hung up on the phrase "our shared grandma" also?
No,
'Cause
well,
that
I
made
did
me
enjoy
laugh for
that,
some
and
reason.
then for some reason when she said "made me pants," I like didn't process it correctly. Like it was like in my head, she was saying she forced me to pants.
Or she turned her into pants because she was a witch.
We gotta start recording this earlier in the week, you guys. Like, I'm not getting 100% brains from y'all. Did you enjoy our shared grandma?
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
I like
a good
that
band
phrase.
name, actually.
Oh, that's true.
Well, it's
I'm
a
gonna
good.
write that down.
Well, I think you're thinking of that because "The Mother We Share" is a great song by Churches.
It is. And our shared grandma.
Gotcha. Gotcha. And the grandma we share will never.
We should re-lyric that song at some point.
We just did.
Done. Those are the only lyrics in that song, right?
That's it. So it's just that over and over again. All right. So, do you guys want to know what my obsession is this week?
Please, God, tell me.
Do.
Okay. So, let me walk you to it with me.
What?
As long
I'm
as
gonna just,
as long as you're not gonna force me to pants.
no, I'm gonna take you on a journey. As you know, because I told you at the end of last week's episode, I'm very much into getting spooked this month. I'm like, usually I'm not like, I forget that Halloween's happening until like a couple days before I have some sort of party to go to, or like the day I have some sort of party to go to, and I have to be like, oh, fuck, I need a costume. And then like, often I would just end up being a hippie because that's like the clothes I have. It's just the clothes I have around.
You actually look like a gypsy right now. You could probably...
Yeah, exactly. Thank you very much. So it's like easy. Because I put my headscarf back on. But this month, I think largely because of Erin and her spooky ear snacks, and also because I've been getting really pumped up for our Halloween episode, which if anybody listening to this didn't listen to the last episode, even if you don't listen to any of the rest of it, listen to the last, like, what was it? Like, the last 20 minutes, maybe? Where we talked about ghosts and zombies and stuff.
Yeah.
Because it was the inception of a really great idea for a Halloween episode that'll be coming in a couple of weeks. So.
Way too scary.
Way too scared.
I thought we were gonna call it Way Too Scary.
We can decide.
Oh. TBD.
So I happened to notice this article on Twitter from a person who I really enjoy named Simone de Rochefort, who works for Polygon, and she had written an article a couple years ago about a show that she loves to watch at Halloween called Over the Garden Wall, which is an animated series. Well, it's a mini series. It's only 10 episodes long, and each episode is only like 12 minutes, so it's really quick. I watched it in one night, and it's like basically movie length if you watch it that way. And it's about these two brothers who, at the beginning, you kind of like meet them in media res, like entering this big like forest that they're about to get lost in, and the whole series is like them trying to find their way home and running into all of these like weird, crazy other types of characters along the way. And it's fascinating because it's like, it's got a whole lot of symbolism in it and a lot of like references to like American folklore. Like, it's like, it's very rooted in like American culture, like it, like, you know, the kind of folk tales that that are like a lot of things, you know, if you think about like Grimm's fairy tales and stuff, they were brought over from overseas, but this is kind of like unique in that it feels very rooted in like the history of this country. Not like he runs into pilgrims and stuff, but just like all the weird, like creepy, like stories that kind of stemmed from here. Although it's not just here, but that's sort of something that she talks about in the article and makes it feel unique to her. And I kind of felt the same way. Like the music is very like, you know, from various points in American history and stuff. And it's just really cool. It's a really quick watch. It's not like outright spooky. It's not like horror movie animated stuff. It's like more of an ambiance thing, and sometimes it gets like really legitimately scary. There are things in it that I think are pretty direct references to characters from Hayao Miyazaki. Also, well, just like one or two specifically in one episode that remind me a lot of characters from Spirited Away, or one of them does. And it's, I don't know, it's just really. It's really good, and it's also got all those like. It's just really fun. You guys should watch it. I don't want to give too much away, but like the older brother, he like quotes poetry all the time to himself, and he's got like this weird pointy hat, and like the younger brother is like, she describes him as a chaotic good. Character. He's just like, he's much younger, and he's always moving, and he's always doing something, and he's always like getting them into trouble because he'll just like go do whatever he feels like doing all the time, and he'll go talk to anybody. And like, even if it's like at one point it's early on, like at one point, one of my favorite moments in the whole show, he like the kid, I forget his name actually right now. He falls into a barrel, and this giant monster with huge glowing eyes like is looking into the barrel above him. So all you see is just like pointy teeth and dripping slobber and these giant glowing eyes. And he looks up at him and he's like, "Oh, you have beautiful eyes." And you're like, he does.
What's the name of the show again?
It's called Over the Garden Wall.
Over the Garden Wall.
And the music is really good, too. And it's actually all up on Hulu, so it's pretty easy to find.
If I don't have Hulu, say,
If you might have a cousin who can hook you up.
Okay, cool. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge.
Put that in the homework. Watch it on Hulu or find a cousin that can hook you up.
Cousin with the hookup. Well, that sounds so cool, Hannah.
It does sounds really interesting.
It's cool. You guys should watch it.
What can I ask? Like, you said there are references to like American folklore in it.
Mm-hmm.
What do you like? What are examples of that? Like, what kind of American folklore do you mean?
Like, during one of the first episodes, they come into town during a harvest festival.
Mm-hmm.
So stuff like that, where everybody's like all dressed up as pumpkin people, and they're doing like a maypole thing.
Oh,
they're
the
like,
pumpkin people! Classic American folklore.
I mean, I don't... That's just the thing it said in the article, truthfully. But, like...
Exposed.
I actually did... Actually, here's the sad thing. Not only did I read that article, but I read after I finished the series. Oh, actually, I wanted to mention that, too. There is another whole series that it's like a 4-part series of articles that talks about, like, kind of tries to lay out all of the references and everybody's names and all of the different things they come across in the episodes, and it's like an episode by episode guide of all the different like references and stuff. And I read it all like that night after I finished it because I was so interested, because it seems kind of so like interwoven, and and this is all that's all I've retained. I don't remember
The Harvest Festival thing.
Yeah, which
So not only
like,
is it straight from the article, there were more interesting things in the article that you can't remember.
Yeah, it's I will put a link to that too, but you shouldn't read it until after you've watched the whole thing, because it does have a whole like a narrative arc to it, and there are things that I could say about it that I found really interesting that I don't want to, because they kind of reveal themselves over the course of the series.
Gotcha.
So it's worth just like watching it through without knowing anything more than that, and maybe next week we can spoil it for some people by talking about it.
Woot. Maybe.
Yeah. So that's mine. Watch it.
Will do. I don't know if I will watch it because I'm a little busy with my obsession, Hannah.
Uh-oh. What is it?
Oh, shit.
I believe I'm next on the roster.
You are.
You are.
Well, I don't have much to say about it because it's still early. I haven't seen too many, but I have started watching Westworld. I thought you might be. I remember you maybe putting this is not why I started watching it. I'm not going to give you any fucking credit. But I remember seeing that you had posted something on Facebook that's like, I need to talk to somebody about Westworld.
Yes. I still do.
So
I'll talk to you about it.
I started watching it truthfully because I was listening to Cameron Esposito's Queer Snack. I almost said.
Oh my god. Wait, if you ever make a lesbian movie podcast, you have to call it
Erin!
a queer snack, or just call it Queer Snack.
That is so unfortunate / fortunate. Just invoke
Fortuitous
so
is
much.
what that's called.
I think that's great. Queer Snack. Actually, I really like that.
Erin's face. It's like,
She's so conflicted right now.
it's like those videos of the first time a baby tries chocolate. That's like Erin's face right now.
And I also have chocolate smeared all around my face. Unrelated. So I was listening to Cameron Esposito's Ear Snack. Queerty. Queery?
No, query.
What's wrong with me? Query. I was listening to her computer queer podcast, Queerty. Queerty.
Query.
right.
Didn't even. It's fine.
Let me start again. I was listening to Cameron Esposito's Ear Snack Query, and she had Evan Rachel Wood on the program, and I had never ever seen anything with Evan Rachel Wood in it. And then they got to talking about Westworld and a bunch of themes in that show and how interesting it was to play. And I was like, that sounds hella interesting. So I decided to watch it. And now I totally know who she is. And have watched a lot of her program. I'm not too far. It's been a busy week. And I've been, like, stealing bits and pieces of time to watch it. Like, but I'm really into it. And, like, I'm resentful of the time I'm spending with you both now because I would rather be watching Westworld. This is where I'm at. I, like, love to do this podcast. And I'm like, I wish I were watching Westworld.
That's great. I'm so excited about that. And you're going to be, at this rate, you're going to be done just in time for the new season to start because it doesn't start till like the middle of 2018.
Is there only one season right now?
I think so.
Okay. So. It's so cool. It's so interesting. A lot to think about. A lot of good things to think about.
I mean, I agree, but oh man!
But what?
You've never seen Evan Rachel Wood in anything else before?
No.
I was gonna say, have you seen Across the Universe?
No.
Have you seen True Blood?
Do you guys not trust that I have never fucking seen Evan Rachel Wood in anything? You're like, but have you seen this thing that she's in? Like, no, I've never seen anything that she's in. But have you seen this thing that she's... No! Here's a fun fact. One of the main characters in Westworld was in one of my lesbian movies. Boop, boop, boop. And not like it's not like a major film. It's like it's like an indie film, I think. Did you say who?
Yeah.
The QA woman, like the main woman with a weird accent.
Yeah.
She's in one that I recommend, Duke of Burgundy, on Netflix.
Oh.
It's a weird fucking movie, but it's...
Remember what she's
really
like the main, like she's like the really curious one, right?
No, not the young woman, the older woman who is...
yeah.
Okay.
Yep. I know exactly who you're talking about.
And she has like a really weird accent. So I don't feel like it's worth going into like explaining what Westworld is, because I feel like most people probably know what it is, but it's basically... That being said, I'll go into what it is.
I actually don't really know, so I would be...
Oh, good.
Because I haven't seen it at all.
I'm sure there are people who wouldn't, so you should definitely...
Maybe you could jump in, Hannah, if I'm butchering this, but it's basically like the premise of Westworld, the place. So, like, Westworld is a place, and it's in Utah, and it's this huge park that you can pay to go to, and basically all of the people in the park are, like, actually robots, but they're, like, artificially intelligent, and they look and sound and feel and act just like real people. And it's really interesting because it's a period in this park's life cycle or lifespan where it's been a thing for a long time, like many, many, many years, like over 30. I don't know exactly how many, but weird shit's starting to happen with these robots and their intelligence. And the premise of the park Westworld is that people can pay a lot of money to go there, and you can basically do whatever you want because these aren't really people. So you can kill whoever you want, you can do whatever untoward thing you want. So it like deals with a lot of really like questionable things. You're like, but I guess these aren't people, but then you're like, but they have consciousness, and they have feelings, and they have memory. So, you know. Anyway, it's really interesting. You can tell, it has Anthony Hopkins in it. You can just tell something's going down. Like, you could just, like, you're like, one of these people who feels like a good guy is probably definitely a bad guy. It's just one of those things you're like, some shit's gonna go down. Like, you just know some shit's gonna go down.
Yeah. I mean, no spoilers, but you're not wrong.
So shit does in fact
well,
go down.
Obviously. Yeah. I mean, that's kind of the premise of every show, is some shit seems okay, and then you're like, I think something's gonna go down, and then shit goes down.
Yeah. It's a lot like that. Mm-hmm. It's really good.
It's really good.
Oh, I'm so excited. When you finish it, tell me right away.
And I thought, watching it, I'm like, obviously there's a lot of really interesting questions that you're supposed to think about, but then I was like, this is a funny thing to watch as an adult, because I'm thinking about, like, other logistical things. I'm like, how do they stock the bars at night? You know, like, I'm like practically.
I always wonder about, like, all the... I don't know that they adequately kind of address how they could possibly, like, remake them so perfectly every time that they get, like, all shot up.
What's their skin material made out of? I'm also like, it would be way more staffed. We see the same staff people. I'm like, there'd be a ton of staff people to handle all this. Mm-hmm. I just feel like that's like, I'm like, not real, not enough staff. How do they stock the alcohol?
Ruins the whole thing for you.
Yeah, well, like, there's gotta be. I mean, you'd have to have, like, when I think about the number of people it takes just to, like, design and produce a, like, nasal aspirator at my work or whatever, like, to, like, design, produce, and then, like, maintain and regenerate, and also, like, keep them, like, on track at the actual park, you'd have to have, like, a staff of, like, 100 per android to actually do that.
Exactly. And the park's so big.
Yeah.
Do you know what's a funnier word than nasal aspirator? Is the word I thought of when you said that, which was anal aspirator.
Can you define what naspirating is for me real quick on the spot?
I think you know. I would say, I think your mom knows, except I know your mom, and I don't think she knows. All my love and respect to your mom.
One of our loyal listeners.
Oh yeah, she's been playing Picross Mon. She actually sent us an email earlier today with a bunch of her favorite poorly translated things from Picross Mon.
I forgot to download that. I meant to.
That's all right. It's all right. At least I touched one person's life.
That's right.
It was Mom.
That's what this is about. I don't think that's what this is about. But anyway, that's mine.
I'm so excited.
Yeah.
I'm so excited.
I just don't know how I'll have another obsession for next week, because I'm going to be, like, continuing to watch Westworld.
That's
Maybe you can just talk more about it next week.
I'll find something.
Yeah. Shall I go on to mine?
Yes.
So.
It is actually, it's kind of related to Erin's, very, very tangentially.
Okay.
So mine, because I'm a nerd, is a class that I'm taking.
Nerd.
That I've, like, really, really been enjoying lately. And it's a class called Computer Organization. And it's basically, like...
sounds so boring.
Yeah. I think it is for a lot of people.
It's when you put your computers on a shelf by color.
It basically is a class that, like, kind of demystifies the inner workings of a computer. And so, like, we go from, like, high-level programming languages like C all the way down to, like, the actual physical hardware that's, like, performing operations.
Oh, that's
and, like,
so
learn how
neat.
all of that communicates. So, like, I've spent the past few days writing, like, a bunch of assembly for my one of my labs, and assembly is basically, like, one step up from, like, writing binary instructions for the computer. So it's, like, super low-level programming. It's been really, really fun. And what's especially cool about it is, like, I'm an electrical engineering major, and so over the course of my 4 years now, I've studied transistors, and then I've made logic gates out of transistors, and then I've made, like, little pieces of computer hardware out of logic gates, and now I'm learning how to take all those pieces of hardware and, like, put them all together to, like, make actually a functioning computer in this class.
Oh,
So
that's
I've
fucking cool.
Yeah, so like I've seen it from like a programming language all the way down to like the device and like physics level. So it's super. It's just like a really exciting thing, and the
That's
reason,
so neat.
yeah, I really really like it, and I actually really really like writing assembly, which I think is a rare thing for most people that have to write assembly, because it's like you have to control. I don't know, like everything's under your control, and like what's actually the computer's actually doing. It's really neat.
You should gather together all the people who like to write assembly and have an assembly. Delivering that joke in front of my family is a different experience than like among coworkers, because my family's like, no, I got you. I'm like already there. And my coworkers would be like, why?
Did you ever have to do any assembly when you were doing your computer science degree, Erin?
I don't have a computer science degree, so I'm a programmer, but I don't have a computer science degree. But I know. I audit some computer science classes a lot now as during like lunchtime and stuff. Mm-hmm. And I've done like a C class, and it's really cool how like the code I write is so high level. Like, a day-to-day user on their computer like can't really fuck anything up. Mm-hmm. Yes. And the code that I write is so high level that you can't really fuck anything up. But once you get down to C, you can like destroy some shit. And it's like you can like put some data in some weird places that it ought not to be. And so I think that's really interesting. Like the lower down you get, huh?
You can put some data out of its misery. Is that
You can. So she can go down. But I think it's cool. I've learned just a little bit about like the kernel and like all of that like separation between like hardware and the code that you write. But I'd love to learn more. It's really cool.
What is an assembly?
Assembly, it's essentially a programming language. You could think of it like, but it's just a very low level programming language.
And low level means like close to the metal, like close to the hardware.
Yeah,
like very little transformation
like a set of
happens.
Instructions that you give to the processor of like different operations to do, like get this thing from memory at this location and add it to this other thing, and then store it here. Like that's, you actually are communicating kind of directly with the processor. It's essentially a set of specific instructions for the computer. Whereas like in a high level language, you give kind of like general instructions that then get broken down. Like all most high level languages eventually get broken down into assembly, and then that gets broken down into instructions for the computer.
Like ones and zeros.
Yeah, like actual. So like when I said that it's close to actually giving binary like instructions to the computer, is because assembly instructions have like a 1-to-1 mapping into actual binary instructions. It's just it's essentially like a human readable form of binary instructions for the processing of your computer.
Dang, that's neat.
Yeah, it's super cool.
I should audit your class. Is it available online for free?
I don't think so.
That's cool. I would like at some point to learn even just a little bit about programming.
Man, okay.
It's fun.
So I
Super
just
fun.
This website today, like a friend of mine shared this website called Udemy, Udemy. Don't go there, Hannah and Ben, because the first time you go there, for like the first 6 hours, all of the online video courses are like $10. They have a bunch of, and they're normally like $100 to $200 for like, some of them are like 25-hour like video courses, but they have some like really introductory ones, Hannah, if you're into that sort of thing. And also some like ones I purchased some today for like, kind of mastering some of the skills I'm working on at work. But they also have a bunch of like video. They're all videos, but they have like cooking classes or like music classes or like French courses. like language courses. But anyway, something like that would be a good like intro. I really like that format, and I like to do that format like at work. I'll do that with like coworkers. We'll all meet during lunch and just watch videos and kind of like talk about it. I really like learning in that format.
Kylie actually TFs she's a teaching assistant for a class that's like that at Harvard Extension School. It's like an introduction to computer science class. And
cool.
The lectures are all like recorded on video.
Is that CS50?
No, it's E22.
Okay. There's like a Harvard one that's like really popular that we took with like David Malone.
Oh yeah. I think CS50 is like the CS class that like a lot like all the Harvard CS students take. Yeah. It's not like an extension school class. It's like a Harvard proper course.
What the fuck is a TF, Ben?
Teaching
Is it a TF or a TA? Get your story straight.
I think it's TA technically. I don't know.
Okay.
Teaching assistant.
Well, that's really cool, Ben.
Yeah, I like it a lot.
That's real fucking neat, yo.
It's real fucking neat. Yeah. I want to do better at computers.
You can do better.
I'm pretty good at internet, but I'm not that good at computers.
No, it's not that you're not good at it, you just don't, like, I'm not good at fucking doing something I've never done before. It's not that you're not good at it, you just haven't done it yet. Don't say that about yourself.
I have a funny story related to Kylie's TAing at Harvard.
TFing.
Whatever.
What the fuck is it? Get your story straight.
She has to, she's a Mac, and so when she goes to teach her section, she has to, like, get one of the dongles from IT to plug into the projector. And she has to, like, email IT every time before that happens. And there was one time where, I think it's actually, like, every time, they respond to her, they call her Professor, her last name, I'm not going to say her last name, but they call her Professor in all the emails. So we've decided that she's now a Harvard professor because of these emails.
I like that. I agree. Yeah. My dongle makes me pants.
Nice throwback. Callback.
Is it a throwback or a callback, Ben? Get your fucking story straight.
You can't just call things anything you want. Things have names. Okay.
I'm getting confirmation from Kylie now that they always call her Professor. They say,
great.
Professor, we have your dongle.
She is a professor to me. She'll always be a professor to me.
No, this is Professor Kylie's dongle.
Don't assume my gender. I'm a profess them.
I think that was the worst joke you've ever made.
Thanks, bud. I wear that with pride. If you don't make bad jokes, you don't make good jokes. That's what I always say.
True.
I do. You can't tell a good joke until you tell a lot of bad jokes. You gotta test your craft. Test your craft.
Exactly what happened with our brother.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Fucking A.
Full circle.
Taught him all of his bad jokes. Told him they were bad, and he learned what good jokes are, and now he's very funny.
It's like you can't succeed unless you fail a lot.
True.
Yeah, we really helped him fail a lot.
And that's the end of the podcast.
Goodbye.
Yep.
We have some closers.
Homework. Yeah. Let's give our Twitters and our homeworks. Okay.
You're up on the homework list
I
first.
know, I'm doing it.
You're not, though.
You're not.
So, my Twitter is Anthropology. It's anthropology with the H at the beginning of it, but anthropology like the study of people, not like the store. My homework for you is watch Over the Garden Wall. It's a very minor time commitment. Erin is exempt because she has a lot of content to get through for her obsession. Mm-hmm. But everybody else who's hearing this, watch Over the Garden Wall. Erin, what's your homework?
Sup?
And Twitter.
So, my Twitter is @ErinByrne. You can follow my lesbian movie review Instagram account, which I have not posted on for like fucking 2 weeks. I'm so sorry, but I'm gonna get there. I'm just gonna double up next week is what I'm gonna do. Okay. But that's on Instagram @lesbian movie reviews, and My homework this week, I guess I would say watch Westworld. If I don't know how you're gonna watch it. We happen to have like somebody's boyfriend's friend's HBO Now login, as you do. Do a lot of people have HBO Now?
I use my parents' HBO Go.
Okay.
So do I.
What is the fucking difference between HBO Now and HBO Go?
HBO Go comes with like your subscription to HBO as a channel. HBO Now is you can subscribe separately without having cable or anything.
Okay. Same content?
Yeah, I don't know why they don't just like have one and then make it so you automatically get it when you subscribe to regular HBO.
They could just call it HBO Go Now, and then it could be all of it.
HBO, now go!
HBO, you go now!
Watch Westworld.
That's another fairly inside joke. Okay. So watch Westworld. If you're listening to this and you're like, oh, that sounds interesting. I need a together show with my boo or like a solo show. You know what I'm talking about. Hook it up.
Zombo.
Jesus Christ.
Don't watch it with your Zombo, because your Zombo is going to really relate to the robot. And be like, I have feelings. That's a Zombo.
Ben, what's your homework?
My Twitter first.
Yeah,
is,
Hannah.
At any Disco Greg, I post at least one picture and or video of my cat every single day.
It's beautiful.
Been a lot of really good ones lately, so I recommend you follow.
They really have been good.
He's a good cat.
He's a great cat. Mm-hmm. He's the best. My homework, I guess, is learn to program. I don't know.
Learn to program.
Programming's fun. You should try it. If you feel like it, to look at assembly. Maybe. I don't know.
Start with assembly.
Don't start with assembly, yeah.
I'm going to go ahead and say that pretty firmly.
Okay, how about this? If you already know how to program, start looking into assembly and how it works.
That's great.
If you don't know how to program, start learning how to program.
It is confusing. I think it's good you clarified, because when you say low level, usually in any other discipline, that would be where you would start.
Ah, yeah, that's a good point.
Because when Erin was saying that her programming was so high level, I was like thinking that she was bragging.
God, no. Oh, God, no. No. I'm going to go ahead and take this moment to give a shout out to an organization that I am passionate about, which is an organization that I hate the name and I hate their slogan, but I love the work they're doing. It's called Girl Develop It, and it's
That's an awful name.
Well, especially because it's programming classes for women. Like, girls can't even take the classes. It's actually just for women. And their slogan is, don't be shy, develop it. And I'm like, excuse fucking me. I am not shy. Do not assume I'm shy. But their content is amazing. And I just finished teaching a beginner programming class. And it was all women. And it's awesome. And they have chapters all around the country. For any age and any skill level, there are lots of beginner programming courses. They're very affordable, at like $10 or $15 per hour. So it's usually like an $80 class for like 4 evenings. Really great organization, and men can join too, actually. So if you're thinking that you want to learn to code, check out Girl Develop It.
Cool. I'm a woman.
You're a woman. There's probably
Correct.
a chapter near you.
Yeah. Sweet. I'll check them out. I'll put them in the homework, too.
What was that last? I'll put them in the homework, dude. Is that what you said?
I said 2.
Oh, 2.
2.
2.
If you have a comment for us about computering or Westworld or Over the Garden Wall or cartoons or our shared grandma, you can email us at waytoobroad@gmail.com.
Please ask us about our shared grandma.
She was a great lady.
She was a great lady, yeah. Or you can tweet at us at 2broadpod, TOO broadpod. like a pod of whales and
pot of narwhals.
Pot of narwhals.
Pot of beans in a.
We should call our fans narwhals.
I like that
because they're not real.
No, it's a way to make narwhals real.
Because they don't exist.
I just accidentally burned us so bad. Anyway, if you want to prove that you're more real than a narwhal, you could also leave us a rating or review on iTunes or wherever. And
that will definitively prove that you are real.
Challenge! Oh, throw down the gauntlet. Send us an email. We'll read it on the pod. Literally anything. We're desperate at this point.
Actually, I should read this email that my mom sent because it's pretty quick. And
email that my mom sent. I was providing some music, filler music while you bring it up.
She said, I've been finding some of the picture choices this is about Picrossmon, the thing I talked about last week. I've been finding some of the picture choices either hilariously named or wildly ambitious given the digitized squares nature of this art. Some favorites: narwhal, stainless tongs, oddly specific, watercolor painting. Oh, no. It's supposed to say watercolor painting, but I guess it said watercolor painting without the teeth. Bazooka, which I remember this one. It's like pointed directly at you. Like when you finish this, you are looking down the barrel of a bazooka.
Oh my
God. When you finish the picture. Yep. Glacier seems overly ambitious. Fetus. There's one that's a fetus.
This has got to be social commentary. I'm just saying.
Isolated island. Scissoring, which is cutting hair with scissors.
That's not what that is.
Not IRL. And dark circle, which is a terrifying sleepless face, according to my mother.
God.
Was this sent to the Way Too Brad email account?
It was not. It was sent to my work email.
Get your shit together. God. Do not be sending business-related emails to the personal account. Just send them to our lonely inbox. That's all you have to do.
We know you're listening.
Mom.
You fucked up.
Mom, you done fucked up. We shouldn't have read it either.
We shouldn't have read it. I'm, like, angry that we read that. It was all of us.
You just got done saying how desperate we were, so I figured
that's true. Go for it. Well, thanks for listening, narwhals.
Thanks for listening, narwhals. See you next week. Talk to you next week.